What if everything you've been taught about God, about church, about your own spiritual path is wrong? What if the walls you've built around your faith are the very things keeping you from true freedom? Host, chosen ones, what I'm about to say might shock you, but it's the truth you need to hear. If you're watching this right now, it's no accident. God has brought you here for a reason, and something powerful is about to shift in your life. You're being called to stop visiting churches because God has decided that it's no longer your place. Churches are for ordinary people. But you are chosen. You are deeply loved by God, and He is taking you to a new level. You may have faced betrayal, hate, or been let down by those around you, people who are still stuck in the ways of the world. But know this, God doesn't align with those who try to bring you down. If you're still following the crowd, what makes you different from them? You don't need to be in a building to talk to God. You can speak directly to Him anytime, anywhere. Your spiritual journey is not tied to any physical space, it's within you. And you are about to experience the divine in ways you've never imagined. But before we dive into this life-changing message, take a moment to pause and do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 40,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 99. This will amplify the energy of this message, sending a powerful signal to the universe. And remember, if you are truly chosen, you'll stay until the end. Let's get into it. If you've ever felt that you don't quite fit in at church, there's a reason for that. It's because you don't. You've been chosen to walk a different path, one that doesn't require the confines of a traditional church to connect with God. You are not ordinary, and your spiritual journey isn't ordinary. God has set you apart for something extraordinary, and this new path requires no walls to contain it. The world may look at you with confusion or even disdain, questioning why you no longer feel the need to attend church. But the truth is, you have been called to something much deeper, something much more personal than the rituals and routines of the church can offer. Your connection to God is not dependent on a sermon or a pew. It's about the deep, unbreakable bond you share with Him in the stillness of your heart. This is not a rejection of church itself. Rather, it is an invitation to step into a more authentic and direct relationship with the divine. The church is a place for those who still need structure, a sense of community, or a place to learn. But for you, the chosen one, God has called you to walk a different path, one where your spiritual journey is a deeply personal, sacred experience. Have you ever wondered why your spiritual journey feels so different from those around you, why, despite attending church, you felt a sense of disconnection or longing for something more? The answer is simple, you've been chosen to walk a path that is uniquely yours. This is a calling to step beyond the familiar and into the realm of direct communion with God, without the need for religious institutions. God's plan for you is greater than the traditional route of attending church and following rituals. He has handpicked you to experience Him in a way that is intimate, free from the constraints of human-made structures. This is your opportunity to build a relationship with God on your terms, one that is grounded in authenticity and direct communication, not ritual. Embrace this path with trust and excitement. You may not fully understand where it will lead, but you can rest assured that it will lead you to a deeper, more meaningful relationship with God. You've been called to a higher purpose, one that doesn't require the church to mediate your connection with the divine. The church serves a purpose for many, providing a space of community and structure for those who are still finding their way. But you, as a chosen one, are called to something beyond what the ordinary church experience can offer. Churches are built for the unchosen, those who still need a place to belong and connect. But for you, God has provided a direct path to Him, one that doesn't require rituals or institutions. While others seek solace and structure in the walls of a church, you are being called to embrace your divine identity, to live out your faith in a way that is deeply personal and completely authentic. You are set apart for a higher purpose, and this purpose cannot be fulfilled within the confines of a building. Being chosen is not a sign of superiority, it's a sign of God's trust in you. He has handpicked you for something special, something that requires freedom from the structures of religion. As you walk this new path, know that it is one of greater intimacy, spiritual freedom, and divine purpose. For so long, church has been the place where people gather to worship, to find connection with God, and to seek guidance. But now, for you, the chosen one, the church is no longer the central place of worship. God has invited you into a deeper, more personal relationship with Him, one that doesn't require rituals, sermons, or buildings. Your communion with God can happen anywhere, at any time, without the need for intermediaries. When you no longer rely on the church to find God, you open yourself up to a world of spiritual freedom. The traditional structures and practices that once felt necessary now seem like distractions. You can speak to God in the quiet of your own heart, hear His voice in the stillness of your soul, and experience His love and guidance in ways that transcend the limitations of any institution. This shift is powerful. It allows you to live a life where every moment becomes a prayer, every breath a conversation with the divine. No longer bound by the walls of a church, you are free to walk in the fullness of your calling, with God as your constant companion and guide. What if I told you that God Himself has decided it's time for you to stop going to church? This isn't a call to turn away from faith or abandon your connection with God. It's an invitation to step into something far more powerful. The time has come for you to let go of the old way of doing things and embrace a new, deeper, and more authentic connection with the divine. Church, as it exists today, has become a place for the unchosen, those who still need the structure, the community, and the rituals. But for you, God has chosen a different path, one where your relationship with Him is direct, personal, and free from the constraints of tradition. You no longer need the church to feel close to God. In fact, He has called you away from it so you can experience Him in a way that is truly unique to you. This is a moment of spiritual liberation. Let go of the old and embrace the freedom that comes with being chosen. Walk in the knowledge that you are loved by God and empowered to live a life that reflects your true divine calling. It's time to step into a higher purpose, and God is right there with you, every step of the way. Letting go of something familiar is never easy, especially when it's something as deeply ingrained as church. But what if the act of letting go is actually the key to unlocking a deeper, more authentic relationship with God? When you stop relying on the church for your spiritual growth, you open yourself up to the freedom of experiencing God directly. This freedom may feel unsettling at first. You may wonder what your spiritual life will look like without the weekly routines and rituals of church attendance. But in reality, it's an invitation to embrace a life that is completely authentic, one where your connection to God is not based on structure but on a deep, personal relationship with Him. Being chosen means that you have the power to walk in your spiritual calling without needing anyone to guide you or validate your experience. God is your guide, and He's calling you to a life of greater freedom, purpose, and connection. Embrace the journey that lies ahead with confidence and trust, knowing that this is exactly where you are meant to be. The truth is that not everyone is called to walk the path you are on. The unchosen, those still seeking a connection with God through external structures, go to church because they need it. They rely on the rituals, the community, and the guidance provided by the church to find their way to God. But for you, the chosen one, you no longer need these external aids. You are called to a deeper, more intimate relationship with God, one that transcends buildings and rituals. Your connection with the divine is personal, direct, and powerful. While others may still seek God through the church, you have been invited into a space of spiritual freedom where you are free to communicate with Him in your own way, without the need for intermediaries. This doesn't mean that the church is wrong for others, it simply means that your spiritual journey is unique to you. You are not bound by the same needs as those who still rely on church for guidance. You've been chosen for a different path, one that leads directly to God, and He is with you every step of the way. You may have grown up believing that your connection with God was only valid in a church setting, that His presence was bound to a building or a weekly service. But what if the truth is even more beautiful? God knows you intimately, beyond the walls of any church. Your relationship with Him is not confined to a Sunday morning or a set of rituals. It is a living, breathing connection that exists in every moment of your life. God's love for you is unshakable and deeply personal. He knows your heart, your struggles, your dreams, and your deepest desires. This is why the church is no longer necessary for you to connect with Him. The divine is already within you, always with you, guiding you, loving you, and empowering you to walk your unique path. You are not separated from God by distance or by ritual, you are one with Him. This realization can be incredibly freeing, as it shows you that your spiritual journey does not need external validation. You are already whole, already chosen, and already deeply loved. As you continue to embrace the path God has set before you, you may encounter resistance from those who still walk the traditional route. Some may ridicule you or question your choices, misunderstanding the depth of your connection to God. But these individuals are not your enemy, they are simply walking their own journey. Many of them may even betray you, dismissing your spiritual freedom as a form of weakness or confusion. However, this betrayal is not a curse, it is a blessing. It is a sign that you are walking a path that is not for everyone, that you are set apart for a higher purpose. These moments of misunderstanding and rejection can be painful, but they are also opportunities for growth. They teach you to trust your divine calling and remain steadfast in your faith, no matter the opinions of others. Your journey is not for everyone, and that's okay. Some people may never understand, but that doesn't make your path any less sacred. You have been chosen to walk this path because it will lead you to greater spiritual depth, authenticity, and connection with God. Trust that even in the face of betrayal, your calling is true, and your relationship with God will carry you through. For so long, you may have sought validation through the rituals and structures of the church. You attended services, followed the rules, and tried to fit in, believing that your spiritual worth was determined by these external measures. But now, God is calling you to stop seeking validation from the church or from others. You are already chosen, already loved, and already empowered to walk your path without needing the approval of anyone. The world will try to tell you that you need the church to define your faith, to give your spiritual life structure and meaning. But the truth is, your faith doesn't need to be validated by any institution. God has already validated you. You are His chosen one, and your worth is not dependent on any external source. Now is the time to embrace your true identity and live it fully. Walk confidently in the knowledge that you are chosen for something great and that your relationship with God is the most authentic and important thing in your life. The approval of others is no longer necessary when you are secure in the love and validation that come directly from God. There will always be those who misunderstand or even criticize your decision to leave the traditional church setting. These individuals may still cling to their own need for structure, ritual, and the approval of others. They may see your path as a rejection of what they hold dear, and they might even label you as misguided or lost. But their response is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of their own journey. The truth is, these haters and betrayers stay in the church because they need it. They need the comfort of the familiar and the approval of others to feel secure in their faith. But you, the chosen one, no longer need that external validation. You have already found your security in God, and that's all you need. Your decision to leave the church is not an act of rebellion, but an act of spiritual liberation. You are stepping into your own power, trusting that God is with you, guiding you every step of the way. The opinions of others no longer hold weight when you are walking in the truth of who you are and the divine calling that has been placed on your life. In the past, many believed that connecting with God required a middleman, a priest, a pastor, a ritual. These intermediaries were seen as the ones who could speak to God on behalf of the congregation. But now, you are being invited into a new reality, a reality where you no longer need anyone to stand between you and God. Your connection to the divine is direct, personal, and all-encompassing. This is the true power of being chosen. You don't need a church, a pastor, or a specific ritual to connect with God. Your conversations with Him can happen anywhere, in your home, in nature, in the quiet of your heart. Every moment becomes an opportunity to commune with the divine, to seek His guidance, and to feel His love. This shift in perspective is not just liberating, it is empowering. You are no longer dependent on external practices to feel close to God. Your relationship with Him is alive, vibrant, and unbroken, and it exists within you at all times. Trust in the power of this direct connection, and embrace the freedom it brings. Leaving the church behind is not a rejection of faith, it is a courageous step toward embracing the fullness of your divine calling. You are being called to live a life that is authentic to who you are, not bound by the expectations or limitations of others. Your spiritual journey is yours alone, and it's time to fully embrace the path that God has set before you. The power of your calling lies not in rituals or external practices but in the relationship you cultivate with God every single day. When you leave the church behind, you make room for your unique spiritual journey to unfold. This is a journey of freedom, self-discovery, and deep connection with the divine. As you move forward, trust that God is with you every step of the way. He has already equipped you with everything you need to fulfill your calling, and He is guiding you toward a life that reflects your true purpose. Embrace the power of your divine calling and step boldly into the future that God has prepared for you. The church may have once served as the heart of spiritual life, but today it has become something different. For many, it's a place of routine and ritual, something that offers comfort but not necessarily growth. But for you, the chosen one, the church is no longer the place where you find spiritual nourishment. You have been set apart for something far greater, a deeper, more authentic connection with God that transcends the walls of any building. This doesn't mean the church is wrong, it simply means that your spiritual journey is unique. You have been chosen for a higher purpose, one that calls you to experience God in a way that is direct, personal, and transformative. The rituals of the past no longer resonate with you because you have outgrown them. You are being called to something more powerful, something that is alive within you. Embrace this change. Know that you are being called to walk in the light of divine purpose, and trust that the path ahead will lead you to deeper spiritual growth and fulfillment. The path of the chosen one is not an easy one, but it is a beautiful one. It is a path that requires courage, faith, and trust in God's guidance. As you step away from the traditional church experience, you are embracing a new way of living, a way that is entirely dependent on God's lead. This is not about rejecting faith but about embracing a deeper, more authentic connection with God. You are walking a path that is uniquely yours, one that is full of divine purpose and spiritual growth. God is with you every step of the way, guiding you to places you never thought possible. Trust in His plan for you. Walk confidently in the direction He is leading you, knowing that you are chosen for a higher purpose. This is your journey, one of authenticity, freedom, and unshakable connection with the divine. When you step away from the church, you are not abandoning your faith, you are embracing a deeper, more sacred connection to God. This powerful decision reflects your desire for a relationship with the divine that transcends mere rituals. It's an acknowledgement that you are already connected to God in ways that no institution can define or contain. In the past, you might have relied on the church to help shape your spirituality. But now you realize that your connection with God is more than any building can offer. The sacredness of this decision comes from your ability to trust that God's presence is with you wherever you go. You are not lost without the structure of church, you are found in the very essence of who you are, chosen and deeply loved by God. By stepping away, you are reclaiming your spiritual freedom. You no longer need the boundaries set by man to define your faith. Your relationship with God is intimate and personal, beyond anything the church can structure or organize. This freedom allows you to walk your path with authenticity, no longer confined by expectations or rituals. As you embrace this new phase of your spiritual journey, trust that you are walking a sacred path. The divine is closer to you now than ever before, and you have been chosen to experience God in a more profound way. This freedom is a blessing, a testament to the strength and depth of your connection to the Creator. Tradition has its place in many lives, offering comfort and predictability. But for you, the chosen one, it has become a limitation. You've been called to break free from traditional patterns and to live in the divine flow, an ever-evolving journey that cannot be confined to old ways of thinking. Your spirit yearns for something greater, something more dynamic, and God is inviting you to experience the fullness of this transformation. Breaking free from tradition doesn't mean rejecting the values that you've learned. It means embracing a more fluid and personal relationship with God. The divine is not static, neither should your connection with God be. When you live in the divine flow, you open yourself up to constant growth, new revelations, and the joy of experiencing God in every moment of your life. This freedom allows you to live in alignment with your higher purpose. You no longer need to follow the prescribed paths laid out by others. Instead, you are guided by the inner voice of God, leading you with love and wisdom into each new chapter of your life. This relationship is dynamic, deeply personal, and meant to evolve with every breath you take. As you embrace this flow, you'll find yourself constantly in tune with the divine. Your spiritual life will no longer feel rigid or forced. Instead, you'll feel the freedom to create, express, and live your faith in ways that are authentic to you. You are chosen to live a life of spiritual fluidity, and it's time to trust in the journey. You've sat through countless sermons, listened to hymns, and followed the rituals. But deep inside, you know that the church's voice no longer speaks to your soul. It's as though the words being spoken are no longer enough to fulfill the hunger you feel for God. This isn't a reflection of your faith, it's a sign that you are being called to something deeper, something more profound. The church's silence is not a failure on its part. It's simply a recognition that the institution can no longer provide what you need. You've outgrown the rituals, and the teachings no longer resonate with the depth of your soul's longing. You are being invited to discover a new way of connecting with God, one that doesn't require sermons or organized services. This silence can be uncomfortable at first, as it feels like something is missing. But this is when the divine speaks the loudest, in the stillness and quiet of your heart. God's voice isn't confined to the walls of a church, it's within you, all around you, waiting for you to listen and embrace it. As you let go of the church's teachings, you'll find that God speaks to you in more intimate and powerful ways. You are invited to seek Him beyond tradition, to live your life as a direct reflection of your relationship with the divine. The silence of the church is not an absence, but a beautiful space for you to hear God's voice in your own life. The road you are on is not the one most people choose. It's a road that requires courage, faith, and trust. It's the road less traveled because it's unfamiliar, unstructured, and often misunderstood by those who follow the traditional path. But this is your journey, the one that God has set before you, and it's full of spiritual abundance and blessings that can only be discovered when you walk it. The path of the chosen one is often lonely, not because you are truly alone, but because the world does not understand your calling. You may encounter resistance, skepticism, and even ridicule. But none of that matters when you are secure in the knowledge that God is with you. His love is your guiding light, and it is this divine connection that keeps you moving forward, even when the world seems to be moving in the opposite direction. While the world may seek comfort in familiarity, you are called to embrace the discomfort of growth. This path will stretch you, challenge you, and help you evolve into the person God has always known you to be. You were never meant to follow the crowd, you were meant to blaze a trail, one that reflects your unique calling and divine purpose. Trust that every step you take on this road brings you closer to the fullness of your divine calling. The rewards of walking the path less traveled are abundant, but they require a heart that is willing to trust, to let go of expectations, and to fully embrace the life that God has designed just for you. Something within you is awakening, an inner stirring, a deep knowing, a sense that your spiritual life is calling you to something more. You've sensed it for a while, that the life you've known is shifting, and you are being invited to step into something more profound than the traditional church experience. This awakening is God's invitation to you to live a life of greater authenticity, deeper purpose, and direct communion with the divine. Spiritual awakening is often accompanied by a sense of disconnection from the old ways. As you become more attuned to your inner calling, you'll find that the rituals and teachings of the church no longer align with the path God is calling you to walk. This is not a rejection of God's word, it's a realization that the word of God is living within you, waiting to be discovered in your daily life. This awakening is not a destination, it's a journey. It will challenge you, inspire you, and help you uncover the truth of who you are. As a chosen one, you will learn to live your faith in ways that are deeply personal and completely aligned with the unique calling that God has placed on your life. Embrace the awakening with open arms. Trust that God is leading you to a deeper connection with Him, one that transcends tradition and ritual. You are being called to experience Him in the fullness of your own being, and this journey will be unlike any other you've ever known. For the chosen one, true freedom comes when we step away from the confines of tradition, ritual, and the approval of others. Living a life of true freedom means walking in the Spirit, allowing God's presence to guide you in every moment. It's a life unbound by external expectations or structures, a life where you are free to live out your spiritual calling in the most authentic way. True freedom is not about doing whatever you want, it's about living in alignment with your highest purpose. When you walk in the Spirit, you allow God to lead you, guiding you toward the things that are best for your soul's growth. There are no boundaries to your spiritual journey, no limitations to the ways in which you can connect with the divine. This freedom is liberating. It allows you to shed the weight of man-made expectations and embrace the divine guidance that comes from within. You no longer have to look outside yourself for validation or direction. Everything you need is already within you, waiting to be discovered and lived. As you embrace this freedom, trust that God is guiding every step you take. You are walking a path that is uniquely yours, and it is one of true spiritual liberation. There are no walls, no barriers, only the open road to the fullness of God's love and purpose for your life. You are not separate from the divine, you are one with it. This truth is often hidden beneath layers of doubt, fear, and the conditioning of the world. But as you awaken, you will begin to understand that God's presence is within you, surrounding you, and guiding you at all times. Your true calling is to live from this place of divine connection, to walk in the awareness of God's love and guidance in everything you do. This is the essence of your spiritual awakening, the realization that you are not merely a follower of God's teachings, you are a reflection of His divine nature. You were created in His image, and your life is meant to embody the love, wisdom, and power that He has placed within you. When you begin to live from this awareness, everything changes. Living from the divine within you requires courage and trust. It means letting go of the need for external validation and stepping into the truth of who you are. You are meant to be a living expression of God's love, power, and purpose. This is your calling, and as you awaken, you will begin to live more fully in this divine reality. Trust that you are on the right path. As you align yourself with the divine presence within, you will find greater peace, clarity, and fulfillment than you ever imagined. You are meant to live in the fullness of God's love, and that starts with embracing the divine within you. For so long, church walls may have felt like the boundaries of your spiritual world. But now, God is calling you to live outside those walls, both literally and figuratively. You are invited to experience God not in the confines of a building, but in the world around you, in every moment of your life. Your faith is meant to be lived in the fullness of every experience, not confined to a particular time or place. Living outside the walls means that you no longer need to fit into a specific structure to feel close to God. You are already deeply connected to Him, and this connection transcends the walls of any church. Your faith is alive, dynamic, and woven into every aspect of your life, from your work to your relationships, to the way you experience the world. This calling to live outside the walls is a call to embrace the world as your spiritual sanctuary. God is with you in the streets, in the mountains, in your home, and in the hearts of those you love. Your spiritual journey is not limited to church attendance, it's about living in constant communion with the divine, wherever you are. Embrace this calling with open arms. Trust that God is guiding you to live your faith authentically, beyond the walls, and in a way that reflects the true freedom and power of your connection with Him. Religious chains can be heavy, expectations, rituals, and the constant need to measure up to someone else's standards of faith. But as you step away from the church and embrace your divine calling, you are breaking free from these chains. You are liberating yourself from the need to conform and instead stepping into a life of spiritual freedom where God is your only guide. This freedom is not about rejecting God, it's about embracing a more authentic relationship with Him. When you no longer feel the need to adhere to the strict rules of religion, you open yourself up to a greater expression of faith, one that is unshackled by tradition and completely aligned with your true self. This is your moment. A moment of liberation, of awakening, of stepping into the fullness of who you were created to be. The path of the chosen one is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. It is a path of courage, of authenticity, and of unwavering faith. If this message resonates with you, if you feel that stirring within your soul, then take action. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with those who need to hear it. Let's create a community of awakened souls, walking together in the light of our divine calling. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your breakthroughs in the comments below. How are you stepping into your spiritual freedom? Until next time, remember your calling, embrace your freedom, and walk boldly in the knowledge that you are chosen, you are loved, and you are destined for greatness.